Welcome back into the channel. Today we have something all new for you guys, and we are officially on the PS5. So we are officially on next gen for the channel. So please bear with me in this video because this is going to be a video that serves a few different purposes. Number one, it's going to be a test of my microphone because it's a new way to connect it to the PS5. It doesn't connect the same way that it did to the PS4 Pro. So I'm hoping that my audio quality is the same, but it's very possible that the audio quality could change. Number two, this is going to be a test of if the streaming works the same way, and I don't know if it gives the same delay whenever I start broadcasting as it did on the PS4. So few different things going on here, but outside of that, I wanted to announce that yes, we are officially on next gen for this channel, and I'm going to be starting a franchise series here on the channel. And I don't know which direction I want to go yet, though you guys can see which team I'm leaning towards trying to do a franchise series on with the Houston Texans, because this is probably one of the best project teams to try to do something with. And if we want to maybe even potentially relocate the Houston Texans or rebrand the Houston Texans, they're a good team to go with. I've also considered a couple of other teams. I think maybe the Saints would be an interesting one because they have a lot of older players potentially retiring, a lot of bad contracts, and a pretty tough cap situation. And then outside of that, I've also thought about, maybe the New England Patriots as an interesting one. They have a pretty old team. They don't really have an answer at some of their top positions, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And then outside of that, I've also considered the Eagles because the Eagles are in a pretty bad cap situation. You guys can let me know in the comment section right now while we're live if any of those strike your fancy, but I see that we have 6 people watching. I'm probably going to go with the Texans, unless you guys feel strongly otherwise. I really feel that the Texans are an interesting one because even with all the good players on their roster, they're a 79 overall, and so once we start moving all of those good players, that's going to change some things. So with that being said, real quick, I want to check. That's going to change. Yep, okay, so we got volume coming through, so we're good on that end. We got 2 guys saying that they want me to do the Packers. That's interesting. Packers is interesting because there's not a lot to do with that team outside of maybe just moving Aaron Rodgers eventually. You know, I think Packers would be interesting, but I almost feel like it'd be too easy. It wouldn't be challenging enough, and I want to do something that's a little bit more challenging and something that I can restrict myself a little bit more. Something where I'm not, just automatically having the one of the better teams or something like that. Darren Jr. says he wants to see the Falcons. Go and take a look at them. Yeah, they're an interesting team because we'd have to move on from Matt Ryan. He ages in the game. We'd have to fix a pretty tough cap situation there. So that one I think is interesting. I like the idea of the Falcons. That's actually a pretty interesting one. I still am not convinced enough to go outside of the Texans. So let's go ahead and pick the Texans here and just see what it looks like. This isn't an official first episode or anything. Keep individual. What do I want? I want tutorial pop-ups off. That's the big one. And I'll have to change the league settings as well. Make sure we take this all the way down so nobody can join in. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what this situation's like. Alright, guys. And wait, what? I'm a player? Did I mess that up? Is that... apparently that is a... that's... okay. Apparently that's the preset. The preset is playing as a player. That isn't the way it used to be. Go owner mode. We're going to go lifelong fan. See if it actually lets me put my name in. Apparently my name was, what's the word for it? I don't know, off limits, I guess, in the last game. I had to put Jake, not Jacob, for whatever reason. Alright, so there we go. New owner of the Texans. Actually, I might even change that for the series whenever we actually start the series. might change that to somebody that could realistically buy the Texans or the current owner if we decide to do something like move the team. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the cap situation and things like that, because this is where things get really interesting for this team. So J.J. Watt obviously is going to be a cut. So we're going to release him whenever it comes to the re-signing stage, or we're just going to let him walk because he's technically speaking not under contract in the game. Outside of that, we are going to trade away Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to try to get some obscene return for Deshaun Watson because I don't feel like the game is going to allow us to do that. But the problem with that is that this is going to put us in an interesting cap situation where we have a $66 million penalty. So we're going to be a little bit restricted in terms of what we can do. I'm not going to try to go out there and sign a lot of free agents or anything because, again, a team like this that is in absolute turmoil, that is, potentially trading away their quarterback doesn't want to be there anymore. They've cut their best defensive player. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins, who was one of their best offensive players in recent years. This team is in true turmoil. And so I think the interesting thing and why I want to pick this team is because, they don't have a ton of talent on the roster. So it is literally like starting from scratch. It is a true rebuild in all senses of the word, in terms of a lot of the players that are good on their roster are over 25 years old, and so they're basically trade bait to teams that can be competitive. So, the only players that would probably be sticking around would maybe be like free safety Justin Reed. As you guys can see, a lot of these guys are old. So this is, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. This seems like a really interesting way to start off a new series here on the PS5. And, I hope that you guys will be able to get into it and enjoy it. So let's go ahead and jump forward to the off season. And I actually should probably force the win here in favor of the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. Go ahead and force the Buccaneers the home win. And while we're doing this, I actually have a couple of first thoughts about the PS5 and next gen. Loading times, everything that they've said about the PS5 is pretty much legit. I'm actually pretty impressed with the way this thing operates, but I have a couple of comments that just stand out right off the bat as like kind of negative comments about next gen. So number one, the PS5 is even bigger than I expected it to be. I know everybody said that it was big, but the thing is like absolutely humongous. Like it's the size of my PC. And whenever I do a setup video for you guys, I'm in the process of making a setup video right now. I'm probably going to put it next to the PC so you guys can see like the PS5 is like almost bigger than the super expensive PC that I bought, which is absolutely crazy. And then in addition to that, my number one thought about this thing is I've been playing the PS5 for one night now, and my hands are already hurting. The controllers are like the most uncomfortable controller I've ever seen in gaming in my entire life, and I've been gaming all the way back since PS1. Like the handles on it towards the bottom where like your pinkies would go are sharp, and they like dig into your fingers if you hold the controller the way a normal person holds the controller. So I have to like almost hold the controller with my fingertips and like change the way that I hold a gaming controller because the controller is such a pain to actually like hold. Like it digs into my pinkies and digs into my fingers. So that's just a couple initial comments there on the new system and the next gen. Let's go ahead and move on from J.J. Watt here, freeing up a whole bunch of cap space, allowing him to go out and sign in free agency. Honestly, we could probably save quite a bit of money by cutting guys like Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks. To be truthful with you, if we're moving on from Deshaun Watson, I don't really know that it makes much sense to bring those wide receivers back, and from my perspective, I kind of want to just move on from those guys, so I might go ahead and do that. We might honestly just let them walk. Let's go ahead through our negotiations here real quick. Marcel Darius, veteran D-tackle, just let him walk. Vernon Hargraves, Garyon Conley, probably going to let these guys walk. They're probably a bit too expensive. Vernon Hargraves might not be that expensive, but to be quite honest with you guys, I think it's best to just let as many of these guys walk as possible, because I can't imagine these guys that are, at this point in their career really wanting to stick around. Uh, Hansen, we're going to let him walk. Really, I think most of these guys we're just going to, and I don't even think it's worth withdrawing offers from a lot of these guys. We're probably just going to move on. Yeah, I don't see anybody here that is honestly worth signing. The only one that I would potentially consider here would be Will Fuller. Will Fuller is a player that, in my opinion, gets maybe too much respect from the game and gets too much respect from people around the league. I understand that he's physically gifted and almost had a breakout season this year, but again, the guy never fails to get injured, and he never fails to disappoint, in my personal opinion. Signing him back for $13 million a year is just a absolute huge amount of money, and in my opinion probably too much money to bring this guy back for. So what I think I might do, to be quite honest with you guys, is try to just give him kind of a low ball offer. So I'm going to offer him like I'm going to offer him like maybe 10 mil a year, because I think that might be more of a reasonable price point that I would be okay bringing him back. I don't even know if this is realistic to how much he would desire in real life, to be quite honest with you. But that's kind of the price point I'm going to give him, and I'm going to give him a 2-year deal. He's probably going to decline this, and when he declines this, what I might do is I might franchise tag him. Because this team is already in such a crazy cap situation, I'll probably franchise tag him and try to get like a mid-round pick back for him, like a third-round pick or something. So that's the route I'm going to go. He's going to be on for $18.9 million, which really at this point not a problem considering everything that we have to do with this team salary-wise, dumping players and all that different type of stuff. We'll deal with the coach and everything later on. Actually, I do kind of want to see what coaches are out there. We're going to skip the media question and all that. Let's go ahead and check my owner, not stadium. Upgrade stadium. Yeah, it's not going to let us rebuild here. Go to coaches or staff. See what available coaches are out there. So obviously the Texans don't have a coach right now. What am I trying to do? It's not going to let me make changes right now. Okay. So we'll do that later on. We'll hire a coach. And then let's take a look at the free agent market and see what's actually out there. So, if we want to go with this legitimately, we're probably looking for players that are looking to prove their value within the league. So we're honestly probably not looking for anybody that's, crazy. Wow, Colin Kaepernick's at 79. That's kind of wild. Maybe even bringing in like a Cam Newton as our starting quarterback and potentially trying to draft a quarterback here in the offseason. Cam Newton could be a potential player, or, even a Jameis Winston or something like that. Somebody that really has yet to have a true shot. We can give them a shot to try to upgrade their value on their own. I think that might be a solid way to go. Even a veteran like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, just somebody that will have an opportunity to prove their worth in the league and then maybe go on to another team in the future. Not going to be a long-term option for us. At halfback, this team does need a halfback, but we could maybe be a team that goes out and overpays a halfback or something like that. I don't see a whole lot of value out here. I do like Marlon Mack and Phillip Lindsay, but might be a little bit too far in terms of that. We're really not going to look at the wide receiver market too much, to be quite honest with you, because if the way our wide receivers are situated right now, we're really not looking to add to that squad. If anything, we're looking to trade away from that group. Tight end, we do have a good tight end on the team. Offensive line, I think that we'll skip over that. We will be looking on the defensive side of the ball because obviously J.J. Watt is gone, but I think for the most part, like I said earlier in the video, this team is a project, this team's a challenge, and I'm going to try to limit myself. We are probably going to go through and, basically build through the draft. I think that's probably the best way that we can go here. There are some decent players, as you guys can see scrolling through here, so we might be able to add like a pickup or two mainly we're going to be looking for depth type of players. We're not looking for players that are going to be starting on other teams because, in my personal opinion, nobody's going to want to go to the Houston Texans. Why would you want to go to the Houston Texans? I think that's probably the most realistic way to look at this situation. Is this is a team that has to build from within because you're not going to be able to attract players to your market unless you're going to super overpay them. And with me being a new owner, or whichever route I decide to officially take with this team, I think that the best way to go is to do it more from a I'm not going to overpay players just to come here strategy, more of a money ball type of thing. So yeah, that's where we stand with this. Hopefully you guys are potentially interested in seeing how we can fix up the Houston Texans. Like I said, I did consider some of those other teams, and you guys shouted out potentially the Packers, the Falcons, teams like that. But realistically speaking, I think that this is the most challenge. As you guys can see, just moving J.J. Watt alone takes the defense down to a 73, which is by far the worst out of any team in this league. So let me go ahead and show you guys all the other teams now. I can just scroll through. So off-season wise, the Steelers take a hit on offense, but I think that by far this is going to be the worst team. Raiders must have taken a hit on defense. Panthers took a bit of a hit. Lions got worse. Jets are pretty bad, but once we trade away Deshaun Watson, our offense is probably also going to drop to like a 73. So I guess we're not necessarily like the worst. We are kind of tied with a couple of other teams, but teams like the Jaguars have young players around for the future. Teams like the Jets have young players around for the future. The Texans don't have that because the Texans have been so poorly run over the past however many seasons that it's just put them in a terrible situation. So that's where we're at. I don't see any situation here that is going to be more of a challenge than the Texans, especially once we move on from Deshaun Watson. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully my mic worked for this video. Hopefully you guys are excited to see next gen content. I've heard a lot of things about the game being glitchy on next gen and things like that. So we'll bear with it. I'm not expecting, fireworks or anything. I'm not expecting this game to be 20 times better than it was on the PS4 Pro, but I was able to get my hands on a PS5 and I was able to get us to next gen, and I'm hoping that helps to just further our quality of content here on the channel. If this is something you guys want to see more of, make sure you guys leave the feedback on the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you guys, comment down below with what you guys are intrigued with seeing, and let me know in the comment section especially what you guys think some of the best way to make moves are for this Texans team. What are some players that we should move on from? What are their values? Who are players that you think might realistically come to the Texans or something like that? Who do you think we should realistically be targeting in the draft? In terms of draft pick, we have, I don't even know. We don't have any picks because they traded away their future. So we have, our late round picks, 3rd, 4th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 6th, 7th. So, we're probably looking for 1st and 2nd round pick compensation for Deshaun Watson at least. And maybe a decent replacement quarterback in return. But like I said, we are going to be challenging ourselves in this series, and I hope that will be entertaining to you guys. So with that being said, like I said, hopefully everything worked here. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'm going to try to figure out how I can stop the broadcast because the settings for this whole thing are way different than they have been. Where's the broadcast stuff? Game base, mic, accessories. No, I'm hitting the wrong button. Broadcast button. Stop broadcast. Okay. There you have it, guys. Next gen series. We'll do an official episode 1 after this video, but I just wanted this mainly to be a test. So